Of it. All right, we are back live with take two, and just like the first one, the list of our sponsors did not magically appear.
Stayed at Hughes Garage.
Stayed at Hughes Garage. We were at Toby's house tonight. Toby and Ann's, better throw the Ann in on that. So we apologize to our sponsors. We do have them scrolling on the computer screen. We appreciate each and every one of them. I wasn't going to try and name them because I'd missed probably 3 or 4 of them, because that's only all the smarter we are. So anyways, we're going to bring on our next guest, and we will start the podcast.
Hey, Hughes Garage. And tonight we're lucky enough to have Husets promoter, Doug Johnson. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing really good, guys. How are you?
Like we say every time, here we sit talking racing, so we're having fun. So,
absolutely.
Before we go too far, probably the only thing left in the racing world for you guys, I guess, would be the banquet coming up, right? Everything else is done at the track, obviously, for racing, but...
Yeah, for this year, we have our Husets Speedway Awards banquet coming up on Saturday, December 6th this year at Royal River Casino in Flandreau, and we'll honor our 3 track champions along with the top 10 in points in all 3 classes, plus all of our special awards. So it's usually a good time, and looking forward to it this year, and that will kind of put a wrap on our 2025 season then. So
yeah, let's talk about 2025. Just regular season, I thought went really well.
Hey, no flood. So that was a win.
But
no flood, right.
Just how did you guys think the weekly shows went?
Well, I think overall, for the most part, they went fairly well. I was just looking at our car counts. They were down a little bit from last year, but last year was unbelievable in 2024 for our weekly shows. In 25, we averaged 29.8 410s, 29.5 305s, and 19 late model street stocks for our weekly shows. Over 6, 8, 12 races.
Yep.
Pretty much. So, overall we can't complain about that at all. I mean, I thought the quality of cars, overall was fantastic in all 3 divisions. I don't think we had a repeat winner all year long in the race saver class. So. Overall, I mean, we had a few weather issues that we battled, throughout the year, but you have those every year.
Yeah.
I think this year we probably battled heat more than rain. We had a few nights. We were just looking back at some of our numbers earlier today. I look back on, probably the worst week we had was July 27th, but it was like 98 degrees and 200% humidity, and it kept away.
The air conditioner in the old propane pusher wasn't keeping up real well that night. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Right. And the same happened during our High Bank Nationals. The final 2 nights of our High Bank Nationals, we had, 95 to 98 degrees both nights.
Yep.
And high humidity, and it's just miserable for human beings to be in that, and it kind of hurt our numbers for them a little bit too, but. At the end of the day, I mean, we didn't cancel. We kept the races going, and we just persevered through it and move on. That's about all you can do. So, overall, I think, at Husets, we had a very successful year. I mean, I think, the quality of competition we have on the racetrack is, second to none. I'll throw it up against anybody in the country as far as a weekly show goes. So, overall, we can't complain. There's just, some little things that we know internally that we're trying to improve and make better for next year. And, moving forward, I think we'll definitely get that done and, just make everything bigger and better.
Yep.
That's the part we like.
That's all we can ask for.
I remember, what was the average of the 410 sprints on a weekly show? Did you say 29?
29.8.
So I can recall races, when I was younger, we were happy when there was 14 to 16 cars there. So
Exactly.
having 29 and then, 10 to 18 of them could win on any given night. That's the other part that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking at our numbers right now. I mean, we had a high of 38 410s on June 1st, and the lowest car count we had was 23 on that July 27th. So it ranges all in between there. Mostly, we were in the 30s pretty much every week up until probably the end of July. Then our numbers, and that typically happens. You get to the end of July. We always see our numbers drop a little bit just because of people are running short on parts and motors and that type of stuff. But it was consistently in the 30s all the way up until then. So
and as long as you got 24 to fill the field at the end of the night or whatever, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So high banks I thought went pretty well other than the heat.
And you got all of them in. You didn't have a flood in the middle of it, so.
Yeah, I think overall it went well. Like you said, the heat on Friday and Saturday was fairly extreme. But we were pleased with we had 60 cars the first night and 59 on Friday again. And with that, I mean, Buddy kind of dominated those two bigger races, but overall, I thought the competition. You look at it. Look at some of the guys that didn't even make the A main. Rico struggled, and guys like that just had a hard time even making the A main. And that just goes to show the competition. I think throughout the entire country right now is so tough in sprint car racing. It's crazy when you look at. I was just out in Pennsylvania for 10 days, and you look at the level of competition they have out there in Central PA, and it's the same way at Williams Grove. Donnie Schatz had to take provisionals to make the National Open. So that just kind of tells you how tough the competition is right now across the country.
It's tough, and it's so close. We've talked about that on different shows too. Like in time trials, the top 20 cars are like a tenth or a tenth and a half apart from each other. It's such a small little mistake costs you 10 to 15 spots on the starting grid. So it's crazy, the competition.
Yeah, a tenth of a second in qualifying makes a huge difference right now, no matter what track you're on. Big track, small track, a tenth is huge wherever you go. So it's, guys have to be on their game, and there's just no room for error, especially if, going to a new track for some of these guys that, never seen it. And that's why the Outlaws are so good. They can adapt to all these new tracks. And, I went to New Jersey last Friday. Most guys have never even been there, and you want to talk about a unique racetrack. It's shaped like a Pocono. You're turning constantly down the backstretch, and I talked to some guys that just struggled all night because it was something they'd never seen before. So it's the competition level is really, really tough right now, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You guys also hosted the Silver Dollar Nationals. How did that all go?
Good racing.
Yeah, it was great racing. The feature, we ended up having rain come in on lap 67 of 80, and we never got the full 80 laps in on Saturday night. But I think the racing before that was really good, and it's late models on Husets is tough. There's just not a lot of room, and not a lot of room for error. Put it that way. So it's overall we were pleased with the car count. Especially on Saturday night, we had I think 44 cars. That raced with the Lucas class on Saturday night, and it made for a good event come Saturday.
So with the high banks and the Silver Dollar, you got dates for them for next year by chance already, or where are we at with that?
We have dates for the high banks. I will say that we are not doing the Silver Dollar Nationals next year.
Okay.
we are actually, I mean, you're the first person that I've actually told that to, so you got breaking news right there.
There you go.
We are looking at, we actually met today and discussed another big event for that weekend. It's not quite finalized yet, so we're a little ways from announcing that, but we are looking at having a multi-day event that same weekend, which would be the, July 16th through the 18th is what we're looking at. So, but yeah, the High Bank Nationals will return, obviously in 2026, June 17th through the 20th. Tickets are on sale right now at Husetspeedway.com, so people can renew their tickets if they had them this year, or they can get their camping booked and all that good stuff right now on Husetspeedway.com for next year's High Bank Nationals.
That's
Perfect.
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So as long as we were talking about your big events, at the end of the year, then we had the Fulkins Brothers Bull Haulers Brawl on Friday, followed up with 2 more days of the Outlaws. I thought again was another great weekend.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, that weekend turned out to be awesome. We don't have a date right now for the Bull Haulers Brawl. I haven't had a chance to talk to Steve and John yet about that date, but I'm confident we'll come up with something for that Bull Haulers Brawl again in 2026. But a couple things I can tell you that that weekend will actually be a 3-day World of Outlaw show, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh.
So we're looking at making that into a marquee event, down the road, and building that. The one thing we did this year, we were going to do last year, but we had to move the High Bank Nationals to that weekend, and it kind of threw a monkey wrench into everything. All the planning is we had a barbecue contest with. It's actually sanctioned by the Kansas City Barbecue Association, and we actually pulled that off this year. Started on Friday and then ran on Saturday, and we had 44 different teams compete in that from all across, the Midwest. I think we had some teams from Texas, from North Dakota, all over the Midwest, and we're looking at continuing that next year as part of that weekend. I think that helped make it an event. We had a driver cook-off on Friday afternoon. That Hunter Schoenberg won. We had some of our officials involved in that, and I think it's just a great opportunity for fans to interact with some of the drivers, and we heard nothing but compliments from everybody, and a lot of praise on the barbecue contest. So that's going to be part of the Labor Day weekend as well. That's our plan right now. Going into next year, so that more likely will be Friday and Saturday during the day.
So they're there for 4 days, High Banks. They're there for 3 days around Labor Day weekend. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then, is there something you're doing with Knoxville or something?
Yeah, we just the Outlaws just announced it, I believe, on Monday of this week that Memorial Day weekend the Outlaws actually came to us and were looking to get closer to the Midwest that weekend because they were Williams Grove the week before, and then they go to North Dakota the week after, and they were trying to fit something in their schedule closer so that their teams didn't have as far a drive. And they reached out to us and Knoxville about doing a joint venture with them. So, yeah, we've got Sunday, May 24th will be a World Outlaw event paying $20,000 to win. The night before, the Outlaws are in Knoxville also paying $20,000 to win. So 2 big weekends, with the Outlaws between Knoxville and Husets that weekend. And, so, yeah, we've got a total of, right now, we've got 8 Outlaw shows scheduled at Husets for next year.
Now, that's all fine and dandy, but Memorial Day weekend, I've been fortunate enough to go to Pennsylvania for the Weichert Memorial the last 2, and if I get to go again, I'm going to miss one, Doug, damn it.
Yeah, you are.
That's Tobe's fault. I'll still be there, Doug.
Just because you can't get out of school.
That's right. Oh, let's see. What else were we going to talk about here?
Well, we wanted to bring up the Hero Haven thing. I thought that went really well with the Hero of the Night holding the flag and stuff.
I did too. I think that's a great addition that that you guys help bring on to make that part of our night each and every week. And I think it's a great tribute to those guys that get a chance to to hold the American flag, during opening ceremonies and all that they get to do throughout the night. Hopefully we can continue doing that. I mean, we're definitely on board to continue to make that happen, and I just think it's a great addition to our entire program each and every night.
The one guy, I remember, he was in his 90s, and he went up through the stands, and they made like a whole, they wheeled him down the whole first row up there, and like everybody was standing clapping for him all the way through. I just think that's really cool. I personally think, I'm actually a little shocked that other tracks don't try and do what you guys are doing with that, and because I just think it's really cool. So,
well, I do, and the other thing that we try to do too is have local talent sing our national anthem.
Yep.
I was just out east, and there is, I'm not going to say the track, but I mean, they didn't play. They just played the national anthem. They just played the song. They didn't have anybody sing it. And to me, I mean, we have so much great local talent. I mean, I've got people beating down our door that want to sing the national anthem now at Husets Speedway every week. So I think that's a great addition too, to have local talent, be able to sing in front of a crowd and on Dervision as well. And I think it just adds to the overall, prestige of the event is having that. And I think, trying to do that, like I said, I try to have somebody lined up every week to sing our national anthem, and it just makes it all part of the event and makes it special.
absolutely.
Being you got enough names, and me and Bud, we won't put ours on the list. We'll just leave it go at that. So.
To guarantee you that.
Back up.
Yeah, you might want to put a few more backs on that there.
Did Tobe and I still have a job, or did we suck too much this year?
No, I think what you guys did after the races, with the last call is a great addition again as well. I think that went really well. I've had a lot of compliments. Our numbers were really good on that people that watch that after the races, and I think that's a great addition. We definitely want to continue doing that, as long as everybody's willing and able. I think we want to continue doing that as well. So
Yeah, just some of them number of views we have on that by the time we get home, it blows my mind.
Oh.
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely not because of me and
Oh,
you,
no,
Joe. They just want to know what drivers
they
are
want to know
on.
what the drivers are saying, but
Any chance high limits coming? Sorry, I got to throw that out there.
I know. I'm actually watching the high limit race right now.
So are we.
No, I don't think so. We've talked to Brad about scheduling a race at Husets, and right now I don't think it's going to happen for next year. Never say never, but it doesn't sound like it's going to fit into their schedule next year from what Brad had told us here, I think earlier this week or last week, whenever it was. So
we won't complain too much with 8 outlaw shows.
Yeah, no kidding. And 4 of those, we get all the high limit guys in there anyhow.
Yeah.
So, but
no, he did say they're not going to schedule against us during the High Bank Nationals. So all their guys have a chance to come race with us that week for big money. So I think there we get the best of both worlds.
Yep.
We get the majority of their guys come race with us, plus the Outlaws, plus the best we have here in the Midwest. And like I said, if we can get the car count we had this year, I don't think anybody will complain one bit.
Yeah.
no.
I was going to say, too, you don't want to call John and Steve. I just thought of that when we were watching the High Banks, because I'm pretty sure they're down there tonight watching, and then they're going to Texas from there. So
Yeah.
they probably aren't going to be around to talk much about next year's
There's
bull
this
haulers.
thing called a phone.
Yeah, they might. We got to win some championships here, as with the car owner deal. So
Yep.
I don't blame them for being there. I think it's a great opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Are we looking at any changes or improvements going on at the track by chance, or anything like that happening this year?
Oh, we've definitely already made a bunch, and we've added a ton of new dirt. Taylor's been working his butt off. We've had 125 side dumps of new dirt already added to the track here this fall. Got that worked in. So that's the biggest thing. We've been we've known we've needed new dirt here for the last couple of years, and we finally found a location here not far from the track and got that added, over the last month. And, I think, the racers especially are going to notice the biggest difference. I don't know if the fans will notice that so much, but, I think the racers will definitely notice that, come Mother's Day, in 2026, the new dirt being added. And I think it'll make a huge difference to the racing. At least we all hope so. Not that it wasn't that bad, but I think, it was, the dirt we had was just getting worn out. And the thing that people don't realize is that every night we lose we figured at least a dump truck of dirt a night.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then, like, when the World of Outlaws were there and it was a mud, you guys somehow got that race in.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, just even going outside the racetrack, along the fence. I mean, there's so much dirt that gets thrown up there into the grass. And because I see that, because I've mowed that before, and you see all the dirt that's thrown up in there and outside the racetrack, on the front stretch, on the concrete. And, even with the take off into the pit area, I mean, we usually have to scrape and broom that infield, after a weekly show with all the dirt that's left in there too. And it all adds up over time. And, like I said, we've already added 125 side dumps this year of new dirt, and hopefully that will help and, improve the quality of racing, for years to come. And, it's something that we try to do, every year, if not every year, but every 2 years, depending on, how bad it gets. But, it was definitely overdue, this year at Husets. And, a few years ago at Jackson, after we reshaped that, we actually took the top 12 inches off of that and completely removed it and put all brand new dirt on there, and that was quite the project. So, it's just, people don't realize how much dirt you really lose, throughout the season. And it like I said, it just adds up. And eventually you got to put new stuff on and, keep it to where the shape and form needs to be to make the racing, exciting and fun to watch.
So when you're looking for dirt, are you looking for like black dirt? Are you looking for a little bit of clay, a lot of clay? What are you guys looking for specific in dirt?
Basically, it's black dirt with a little bit of clay. We had a gentleman and a sponsor, down by Knoxville, and they had some prime gumbo down there that, would have been perfect, but the logistics of hauling that from, it was down by Pella to here would have been astronomical. So, we tried to look locally to try and find that, and we actually did. We've had guys, bring us samples for probably the last year and a half to 2 years of dirt, just to kind of look at it and see if it would mix in with what we've got. And, like I said, it's been a process. Well, we finally found some here, earlier late summer, and, it got all hauled in here within the last month, and, it's all on the track now and worked in. So I would just let it sit over the winter, and hopefully it comes out and works well with the old dirt, and we blend it in and make it, decent and get what we're looking for.
There you go.
Perfect.
Is there anything else we're missing or forgetting about?
No, like I said, the biggest thing, we're hoping to have our schedule out here in the next couple weeks. We got a few things, we met today to finalize a few things, but we got a few things to work on yet. But, overall, I think, our schedule is going to be real similar to last year, obviously with 2 more outlaw dates than what we had last year. And no late models, during the Silver Dollar Nationals, or no Silver Dollar Nationals. But, other than that, our schedule is going to be real similar, with the number of weekly shows that we have. And, so, yeah, other than that, we're just, getting to work on the off season, with, all of our once we get our schedule in place, then we start working on, our renewing our suites and sponsorships and all that type of stuff. And, but we'll hopefully, like I said, have that getting the banquet finalized. That's another, huge undertaking, that for me and our team to get that put together. I mean, people just don't realize how much work goes into that alone.
Yes, I can imagine.
We try and put on a top-notch banquet, and get, a lot of prizes and stuff put together for the teams and stuff like that to give away, and, along with point fund checks and all that. But, try and make it, a spectacle that people want to come to, for the banquet, and instead of just, here's your check, thanks for coming, and, you leave. But try and make a pretty nice event, too. And, thanks to the Royal River Casino in Flandreau, for giving us a place to have that every year. And I think it works out well from a logistics standpoint with our teams from up in North Dakota and the ones from here. But it's kind of in the middle for everybody. So, but other than that, I think we're getting geared up for 2026, and just trying to get everything in place.
Yeah. No, I'm happy with everything.
Yep.
Well, you got anything else?
Well, just had one comment on the page. Want to know if they're going to have the Ben Nordoff race again this year?
That I don't know yet. We're still working on that.
Okay.
So that's
one of the things to be determined yet.
Yeah. So we're still working on that type of stuff yet, and that whole week or weekend is kind of in the planning stages right now, I would say.
Yep. No,
sounds great.
Well, we really appreciate your time, Doug. We know you're a super busy guy, and taking a little time to chat with us, we really appreciate that.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to 2026. It'll be here before we know it.
Ain't that the truth?
That's
Time
right.
goes so fast anymore.
All right. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks again.
Yep.
You
Bye,
bet.
Doug.
Bye.